Hey, stop scrolling for a second. She stood in the rain with her daughter's hand in hers, thrown out of her own home by the man she loved for 15 years. He called her worthless. He called her broke. But he had no idea what was about to happen. One phone call was about to change everything. And by the end of tonight, he'd be the one on his knees. Welcome back, friends. Before we begin, tell me, where are you watching from today? Let me know in the comments. I love seeing where this community is from. Tonight's story is one of the most emotional ones we've shared. A story about pride, betrayal, and a secret so big it changed a family forever. Stay with me till the end because the twist coming up, you will not see it coming. Maria Thompson had spent 15 years building a life she thought was solid. A husband, a daughter, a beautiful home in the suburbs of Atlanta. She cooked, she cleaned, she raised their little girl, Zoe, while her husband Derek climbed the corporate ladder, always reminding her that his paycheck was the only one that mattered. "You don't even work," he'd say at dinner parties, laughing it off like a joke. But it wasn't a joke to Maria. It was a weight she carried every single day. Tonight was supposed to be different. Derek's mother, Patricia, was hosting a big family dinner, a celebration for Derek's promotion. Maria had spent the whole afternoon getting Zoe ready, picking out a soft lavender dress, braiding her hair with trembling hands, because lately nothing she did felt like enough. When they arrived, Derek was already inside, laughing with his sister Angela, both dressed like they'd stepped off a magazine cover. Maria walked in quietly, holding Zoe's hand, feeling smaller with every step. Then Derek's phone rang. He looked at the screen, confused. "Private bank chairman," it read. He frowned and turned to Maria. "Why is a bank chairman calling my wife's number?" Maria's heart dropped. She hadn't meant for anyone to see that. "It's nothing," she whispered. "Just a mistake." But Derek wasn't buying it. In front of his mother, his sister, and their daughter, he snapped. 15 years, Maria. 15 years I've supported you. And you're hiding something. Get out. Take your things and get out. You're broke, you have nothing without me. Patricia crossed her arms, nodding in agreement. Angela didn't even try to hide her smirk. Maria stood there, rain starting to fall outside. Her suitcase already packed in the car from an earlier trip she never got to explain. Zoe clutched her mother's leg, confused and scared, watching the only father she knew scream at the only mother she had. "Fine," Maria said quietly, her voice shaking but steady. "Fine, Derek. If that's what you want." She turned, picked up Zoe, and walked out into the storm, the same storm that had been building inside her for years. But what Derek didn't know, what none of them knew, was that the call he'd just seen wasn't a mistake. It was real. 2 years ago, before she married into this family, Maria had inherited something no one in this family ever asked about, because no one ever cared enough to ask. Her late father, a quiet immigrant who built a small trucking business from nothing, had left her a trust, one that had quietly grown through investments she managed herself, late at night after everyone else was asleep. $50 million. Untouched. Waiting. She had never touched a cent of it. Not because she was ashamed of it, but because she wanted to be loved for who she was, not for what she had. She wanted Derek to respect her when she had nothing to give but herself. And for 15 years she stayed quiet, waiting for a version of her husband who never came. Standing outside now, soaked to the bone, holding her daughter, Maria's phone rang again. The same number. She answered this time right there in the rain. "Mrs. Thompson," the voice said. "We just need your final signature to finalize the transfer. Your father's trust is fully yours now." Maria closed her eyes and let the rain wash over her face. $50 million. And the only thing Derek had seen was a name on a screen and jumped to the worst conclusion, because that's who he'd become. A man who saw his wife as a burden, not a partner. She looked back at the house one last time, at the warm golden windows, at the family that had just cast her into the storm. And for the first time in 15 years Maria smiled. Because tomorrow everything would change. And this time it would change on her terms. By morning news had spread. Maria hadn't planned to reveal anything, but her lawyer had already begun the process of formally taking her name off Derek's accounts. His properties, everything tied to her name that had quietly kept their household afloat more than anyone admitted. Turns out Maria's nothing had been paying for private school tuition, the mortgage backup fund, even Derek's failed business venture 2 years prior, all disguised as family savings no one questioned. Derek showed up at her lawyer's office 3 days later, humbled, desperate, apologizing through the intercom. But Maria didn't need his apology anymore. She had spent so long shrinking herself to fit into a marriage that never valued her. Now she was standing tall, not because of the money but because she finally chose herself. She used part of the trust to open a small community center in her father's name, a place for immigrant families to get business support, the kind of help her father never had. Zoe grew up watching her mother rebuild. Not out of money but out of strength. Sometimes the people who make you feel small are the ones who never truly saw your worth. Maria didn't need $50 million to prove her value. She always had it. The money just gave her the freedom to finally walk away from a life that had stopped seeing her. If this story touched your heart tonight, give it a like. Hit subscribe so you never miss the next one, and share it with someone who needs to hear that their worth was never up for debate. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.